Was it the right move by the Cowboys to place a franchise tag on Pickens?
Kinsey, as Akib knows, I do not love this. This, for me, is a ticking time bomb of controversy and George Pickens' unhappiness that I feel like could linger through the whole year. And I'm going to remind everybody, this is still the George Pickens that the great Mike Tomlin gave up on because of immaturity issues, gave away to my Dallas Cowboys for a third-round pick. And of course, we said happy days are here again. And even as George Pickens was flashing that incredible downfield receiving talent, leading the NFL in yards per catch, he flashed all of the immaturity issues that Mike Tomlin got rid of him because of. He was late to meetings. He missed the team bus to Las Vegas on that Monday night. And in the end, I don't care what you say, in the turning point game of the year, that Thursday night at Detroit, after we had beaten last year's Super Bowl teams back to back in 4 days, the Eagles and then obviously the Chiefs, George Pickens he did not give max effort in that game that Thursday night. And my guy Richard Sherman blasted him for it after the game on Amazon Prime. And now this same guy, coming off a 7-9-1 season, wants to be the highest paid receiver, and he can certainly statistically make that case. They have tagged him, and as Kinsey just pointed out, he's represented by the very same agent that Jerry would not deal with during the Micah stalemate that led to Micah being now a Green Bay Packer. And so what's to love about this? Because it's just going to be Pout City. I look at it, everything's just so Dallas Cowboys right now because we have the highest paid player in all of pro football in Dak Prescott. We have the highest paid interior offensive lineman in all of pro football in Tyler Smith. We have CD, the third highest paid receiver. If George Pickens, even at $28 million under the tag, he's going to be the fourth highest paid receiver just off the tag. And now our kicker wants to be the highest paid kicker. And I'm saying, man, all this added up last year to 7-9-1. And obviously say it's because you had the all-time worst defense in the history of your franchise. Well, okay, now it's time to go fix the defense, but we're going to have a hard enough time keeping the offense together with the highest paid all across the ball. So I just feel stuck. I feel like that this is going to have a very unhappy ending for my Cowboys, and I'm sure Akib is going to see glass as half full here.
Glass always half full. Me,
Yeah.
You know how I do. I think it's a great move by the Cowboys, man. You don't want to change that offense, man. This offense was second in the league last year. They probably was 13th or 14th a year ago. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They up every category. Every offensive category has been improved this year. And with the middle of the pack defense shit, they would have won 10 games this year. But you can't pay two receivers $100+ million, period. So if you want to shoot your shot again with this offense, you got to tag Pickens. That's what they did. You can easily clear money by just restructuring the guys who you know gonna be there. You know Dak gonna be there. You restructure them. He'd be happy to take $30-40 million right now in March. You restructure CD. He'd be happy to take $30-40 million right now in March. You restructure Tyler Smith. You just drafted him. No, he ain't going nowhere. 3 restructures and you up in $100+ million in cap room. This don't even hurt the cap if you do that. So, hey man, I love the play by Jerry. Now you still have 2 first-round picks. You're gonna create more cap room. Now you still got wiggle room to revamp this defense, like you said, man, with draft picks, with free agents, with a couple of guys who in the building, you could bring back things like that. So I think it's a good move for the Cowboys, man. The defensive coordinator hire was a solid move. Now you get this done, and now you could just focus free agency in the draft on straight defense, man. 3-4 bodies in there, man, and I think the Cowboys on their way.
Mm.
Yeah. I agree, man. I agree with Lee. Like it gives you time. It gives you time to see how next year will play out. You paid your running back, so now your complete offense is coming back. That powerful offense that gave you those 7 to 8 wins last year without a defense at all. Now you can really focus on balancing that budget around the defense, what pieces you need, and then you have a year to see if those pieces work. And then you figure out everything at the end of next year. I think you'll still win 10 games, so you'll have a little cushion to, see what pieces you want to give more money to and what pieces you need to either release or restructure again. So I think it was a fantastic move by the Cowboys. I think they have a very realistic future and where they can be by the end of next season. And you may be able to pay Pickens, and depending on what CD and Dak do with their contracts, you may be able to bring all three of them back. But franchise tagging them is a great thing, and it benefits the organization as a whole. So I think it was a great idea.
Mm.
Yeah, I like it as well. And then obviously I'm a former quarterback, so I'm going to see it through Dak Prescott's eyes. You just got him as running back from last year that took a lot of pressure off of him with Javonte Williams to a 3-year deal. Now you franchise George Pickens to pair him up with CeeDee Lamb. That makes you feel really good as a quarterback. And I think Akeem made a great point. The fact that the Cowboys have 2 first-round picks, I think, played a major factor in this because they can still restructure. But even though they're $30 million over the salary cap right now, those first-round picks are very beneficial because they don't have to go get free agents and deal with contract negotiations. They can go out and draft 2 defensive players that they think can hopefully fit into this defense with a new defensive coordinator. Right, you got Christian Parker coming in, so it's not going to be the same scheme they had last year under Eberflus. So I don't think they have to completely re-identify this defense and create a completely different foundation. They've got some key pieces there with Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark and some other guys on the outside. Now you go add some key players in the draft, restructure some contracts so you have a little wiggle room and free agency to add some other defensive players. But you know for sure now by franchise tagging George Pickens that your offense is going to be good to go, and you hopefully can get the same production you had last year. So if you are in some of these shootouts, Prescott and Williams and CD and these guys can go toe-to-toe with some of these other offenses.
Okay, so Akeem, what do you always say about missing OTAs? What do you bet that George Pickens, thanks to David Mulugeta, will miss the OTAs because that's what Micah did, and that's the only way to protest. And I just think he'll miss the entire offseason because he is frustrated under the tag.
Now I talk about missing OTAs at the quarterback position. They the ones who got to be there. You know what I'm saying? They the ones who gonna make your attendance 90% if they there, and it's gonna be about 70% if they not there. Pickens, we know his route. What's his route, Skip? You could say him right now. A slant and a fade. Occasionally we'll run a dig and a stop route. We know his routes. We know his role in the offense. That's the good part about him returning to the same offense. They already know how they want to use him, how they going to use him. You know what I'm saying? So if his agent wants him to not be there just to, make his case stronger, he may not be there, Skip. But I'm telling you, they both understand at the age he is, when you first get to the table, the trouble, let's say the trouble that he brought in the building, missed meetings and missed buses, that might delay your pay schedule for a year. It might happen. Okay, if you was a perfect citizen, you might get paid right now, but you're not. Your pay schedule is delayed for a year. If I could make $30 million while my pay schedule is delayed, then oh well. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be right back at the table next year. I don't think him missing OTAs would be a huge factor in what Dallas is trying to do.
I don't think they miss OTAs. I mean, I think he has a great relationship. I think that receiver room, I know that receiver room has a great relationship within each other. Between CD and Pickens to be specific, but the coach, they have much respect for the coach, and the coach got their back in any situation. I know that for a fact. So I think he'll be at OTAs, and just seeing what they did number-wise last year, why wouldn't you want to improve on that, knowing that with a little improvement, you could go spend every draft pick on defense with the offense you got back. You don't need to do nothing with that offense.
Not one.
Hey, we got 8 picks. We on all defense, every pick. Why not? Like I said, even the franchise tag is not the stigma that it was when, 5 years ago. Like, they already know what's coming. We gonna get tagged. I'm the number 1, top 2 positions in my group. It's a high likelihood I'm going to get tagged.
So given the temperament that we have seen from George Pickens, especially in Pittsburgh and flashes of it last year, how happy do you think he's going to be during the football season, game after game after game, to show up and play for money that he believes is underpaying him? That's the problem, because I don't think he's going to be all in on the season.
He's going to be very happy because in our league, it's always when we play on the field, we playing for the future. You know what I'm saying? Whatever money we earn, but we always playing. Every time we strap up, every time we get taped up and we go, we play, we get on TV, it's always for the future. You know what I'm saying? So that's what he's playing for. He's playing for the future.
I know what you're saying. I don't know what George Pickens is thinking, because I'll say it again, and I know you disagreed, but my guy Richard Sherman blasted him after that Thursday night game as being or looking uninterested in the turning point game of the year at Detroit. Was that playing for the future? I don't get it. I'm still like dumbfounded that he didn't show up.
Me and you never sat down and watched that game like we was supposed to. I still want to sit down and watch that game with you.
I just need 3 plays. I saw 3 plays where he just didn't try for balls.
3 plays, then I done seen TJ uninterested. I done been uninterested. Dak done been uninterested. If you
I don't think so.
3 plays a game, Richard Sherman done been uninterested. Everybody's been uninterested because nobody's going to go full blast every play of the game. It don't happen, Skip. It's not realistic. That was Sherman just being the media guy. He needed to bring some views to Amazon. You know, they needed to turn their shit up a little bit. He had to call somebody out. He did what he supposed to do. We still talking about it. So he did his job.
That was just Richard being Richard and spitting the cold, hard truth after that game, because that's what he saw and that's what I saw. And I was tweeting the same thing during the game.
You go sit down and watch it then. That's what we need to do. We just got to go
to that point.
You'll see
clips to fit narratives, right? I could go find all bad plays from George Pickens and say this is why he doesn't deserve to be paid. But then I can also put together his highlight tape of his 50-50 deep balls and the slant routes that he ran and his ability to get open and create separation and say this is why he should be a top 5 paid receiver in the NFL. It goes both ways, but that's Akeem's point is if you sit down and watch the film in totality from the entire year, he did more than enough to prove that he's a guy maybe deserves a long-term contract in the future, but a guy that the Cowboys need to do whatever they can to keep him in Dallas. And right now for them, that's a franchise tag because of the other contract situations. But hopefully it works out this year. They open up some more space and they can find a long-term deal in the future. But I do hear what you're saying a little bit, Skip, where if I'm George Pickens, there is the risk of injury, knock on wood. There is a risk of losing production this year, and now your value might go down a little bit in the market. So you have some worrisome issues there. But the way that he had production last year, the offense that they run under Shoddy and Dak Prescott, I don't see him regressing in any way, shape, or form next year in Dallas. And I think, like Akeem said, he'll be right back at the table for another contract.
All right. I hear you, and I hope you're right about this. But Akeem, I'm just going to hit 3 quick plays, and I know you're going to remember them. First play out of the second half. It's still a game at Detroit. Slant to George Pickens, and it hits him right in the hands, and he doesn't seem to want to actually snatch the ball and get both hands and just snatch it, and it gets tipped up into an interception that basically ends the game, if you want to know the truth. Then there's
So okay, to the next one. I'm a rebuttal everyone.
All right. Okay, so then the next one, still third quarter, there's an out route. It's just a simple out route, and the ball's a little short, but he doesn't even try for it. He doesn't dive for it. It's for a Pro Bowl wide receiver, it's a pretty easy play if you care, if you try. And then late third quarter, there's a deep ball where he's got 2 Lions running with him, but they don't see the football, and he appears to see it and just quits on it. He just doesn't try to go get it. It's like you could just reroute and go get it. He saw it and said, I don't think I'm going to give max effort for this. I don't get it, man.
Yeah, Skip. And you probably don't get it because you ain't never played, Skip. We don't think like that. That's not how professional. We don't play like that. We out in the field. You don't think he's trying to go up top and catch a touchdown? Skip, you got to watch the end zone copy. You got to watch the all 22 end zone copy. That ball is 4 yards inside of him. It drops 4 yards inside of him, Skip. He actually couldn't get it. And the slant out of halftime, it was a fucking great play by the DB. The DB knew what they like to run. He was sitting in cover 2. He broke on a slant and made a great play. He get
Yeah.
back to Skip. He actually collects a check every other Wednesday, just like Pickens. Believe it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So I didn't play, but I learned all the way back to the great Drew Pearson, way before your time in Dallas, Texas. But go back and look at his tape. I was very close with Drew, and he fought his ass off because he was undrafted out of the University of Tulsa. And he had to live and die on every throw from Roger Staubach, and he went and got the Hail Mary when it was a little underthrown because he played hard on every snap, like his life depended on it.
So we never see Pickens.
sometimes-
We never saw Pickens. We never saw Pickens retrace and come get a ball, play a ball in the air, draw a flag.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it to another point. Sometimes when you look up, them lights be bright. You can't track it until it get right there. I done looked up plenty of times and was tracking the ball and it just disappeared. And then you lose those 3 or 4 yards in your tracking of the ball. But to Pickens' point, is like, what receiver don't have those moments, man? You got the greatest receivers in this game, T.O., Randy Moss. And if you label them by some of their antics or some of their complaints, then you would say they wouldn't be worth the money. But these are the greatest receivers to ever play the game that, unfairly sometimes got labeled, divas or not interested in certain games. But you look at them numbers in them TDs, they 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Do you guys remember what Chris Collinsworth said the next Sunday night about George Pickens? About how, and remember, Chris Collinsworth was a Pro Bowl receiver in the National Football League. And Chris Collinsworth said that you can just see by a receiver's body language whether he's into it or not, whether it's his body language that says, I want the football. And he does not consistently see that from George Pickens.
man, he
right?
say a lot of wild shit on them games, Skip. Chris be all over the
Wild
place.
shit. I
Chris
think he's
be all
the
over the
best.
place. I listen to Chris. I be like, hey, Chris, all due respect, it make time for you to hang him up because you be saying some wild stuff.
Chris Collinsworth, hang him
Chris
up.
Collinsworth be saying
He's
some
at the
wild
top
stuff
of his
during the
game.
No, I'm not talking about when he played. I'm talking about
No, as
analyzing,
an announcer,
during the game.
as an analyst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But
So he may not be. He may be analyzing body language wrong. You could look at body language and misinterpret a lot.
Right.
People look at me all the time.
When you already got a picture of a guy in your head, you can look at his body language and say whatever you want it to be. Skip. Chris Collinsworth has said some bullshit about me before. It's just he's not always right. He's not the 100% right wizard of Sunday night. Like, he don't get everything right.
And to that point, we can talk about body language, but in reality, what you look at is 93 receptions and 1,400 yards and 15 per reception and 9 touchdowns. And when you watch the film, you look at all these too high coverages they're getting because they're worried about CD on one side and now George Pickens on the other side. If you don't have Pickens over there, then you're going to see a lot more cloud coverage just on CD Lamb and they'll match up everywhere else. They can't do that when you have a 1A and a 1B with Pickens and Lamb. His importance to this offense, even if he's running a Gump route, Skip, which is Forrest Gump, run, Forrest, run. Just get out of the play, take 2 players with you. That still has an effect and gives them a chance to be successful on offense. So his presence alone, whether he's getting the ball or not, or whether you think he's given 100% max effort, still plays a huge factor when these other defenses are preparing for him.
Yeah, but Cody, how do you explain that CeeDee Lamb in the 2 years before George Pickens came to Dallas, Texas, had the best stats over a 2-year span without George Pickens? How do you explain that? I had him as the best receiver in football. It was working.
Yes. Can I explain it for you, Cody?
Go ahead, Keith.
It was 2024 was a lot of garbage time stats. That's what it was, Skip. It was a whole lot of garbage time stats that didn't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? And
what was last year? 7-9-1. There's some garbage time going on there.
They offense wasn't better. He might have had the stats, but was the offense as a whole better? You look at last year, the offense as a whole was better. You know what I'm saying? It went up in every category, Skip. So I mean, it's
a difference between stat and watching the game.
Go ahead.
The game, when you watch the game, a lot of them stats, whether it's defensive, offense, you want to go to the paper and look at some numbers, they might tell you something. But when you start getting into the numbers, they're going to tell a different story, especially when you're watching the game. Like Lee said, garbage stats, I might get 4 more tackles because the team's gonna run the ball and not pass. So now I'm tackling for loss.
And-
It's effective like that.
And to that point, Skip, when you have CD out there, he's obviously going to get more targets. When you bring in George Pickens, now Shoddy in the offense is going to find ways where we don't just have to force feed CD Lamb the ball. Now we can get Pickens involved. Now we can put him at X, put CD at Z, put them inside, move them around. So that's obviously going to split up some of the targets and take away from his production. But still, CD Lamb is a great player. I think he's great individually. I think he can still do big time things, even if George Pickens wasn't there. I just think it takes some pressure off of him, and it allows their offense as a whole, like Akib was saying, to be better because it's not just one guy on the outside. You have to try to force the football to. You have multiple factors, multiple weapons.
And you go from 27th in rushing to 9th in rushing.
Yeah.
You go from 21st in scoring to 7th in scoring. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's doing for the team, regardless on what the numbers said last year for CD.
Akib, do you remember the Monday night game against Arizona at Dallas? Do you remember the Sunday night game, Minnesota at Dallas? Do you remember what the offense didn't do in those games?
Yeah, I remember what the defense didn't do as well.
I don't know. The defense against Arizona was actually pretty good in the second half, gave them a chance, and the offense scored 10 points against the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay,
I don't know.
That should have been a loss. That happens sometimes. That should have been a loss. What
Yeah.
about they scored 27 points and lose? 27-30.
I understand. Okay. All right. So in the end, I'm back to my very first point. And how do you guys explain that the great Mike Tomlin said more trouble than worth to George Pickens and gave him away? Gave him away.
Because he just was traumatized by a guy named Antonio Brown, who did the same thing. He brought antics, he brought problems in the building, but he balled his ass off.
It's like,
Mike he was at the point where he like, shit, I just went through this. I can't go through this again. He can go. I see what DK can do. If I can get a guy like DK for him, I see what that do. So he just was fed up. He was tired of dealing with it.
Well, Skip, the good news for you is we're going to find out all year long how Pickens' character under this tag, and if he's going to show who he truly is before he gets his big payday. So it's the perfect situation. Hopefully,
Kinsey, he might show who he is before then, like during the OTAs, but go ahead.
True. I mean, but he also could not go to OTAs and ball out all year. I mean, he's a good enough player that could happen. I mean, it depends on the end of the year what his stats are. If he shows up and makes it happen at the end of the year, they're going to pay him. So we're going to find out. Hopefully Pickens is not going to, cry like you think he's going to and make a whole fuss and show up. I think he's going to show up. He's got a better thing going in Dallas. He likes his guys. They're working well together. But let's move on. I think it's a great thing for Dallas.